coming to minimal viable product MVP, the basic definition is that the definition in terms of the complete definition is MVP is a version of a product with just enough features to satisfy early customers and provide feedback to the makers of the MVP about the future product development. So there are two components in this. First thing, it is the version of a product with a minimal technological version of the product, which provides enough features to satisfy all the uh, all the functions that the builder wants to give the consumer, and also to take back the consumer feedback for any further development required. So this is the complete definition of MVP, which the innovator should know, and which is most suitable for the jury members to know, because they won't be having time to look into the entire project, and they would be more interested in what kind of MVP it will turn out to be in the final stage. And if in the initial stage itself, in the POC itself, you have a good idea of how your MVP will be, that makes your pitch to the grant team a strong pitch. And for the innovator, what matters more is the definition that MVP is a version of a new product which allows a team to collect maximum amount of validated learning about the customers with the least effort. So this is most relevant to the innovator, because all he wants from an MVP is to get a feedback from the customer, a feedback which is called as a validated learning, because uh, because they have made the product and they know the technological loopholes as well as technological benefits, and they can compare the feedback with their making of the MVP. And this is the most suitable definition for the innovator. So MVP parts and purposes. First, I will talk about the purposes. Why to make a MVP? Why to make a minimal viable product and not the product itself? Uh, Even if the product, as I said, even if the technological innovation or the scientific component of a solution is very high, it really doesn't matter to business. It doesn't really matter to entrepreneurship. It really doesn't matter to the innovative content, the potential of the innovation to hit the market. And the market is hit only based upon what is the experience of the consumer base and how they react with your product, and how they find your product suitable to solve the solutions. So instead of doing the entire product, you can have always a MVP, a minimal technological assembly of your solution, and you can wait for the feedback and develop your product accordingly. So this will help you reduce a lot of wasted hours on engineering and re-engineering. And you can also get the product much sooner to the customer, because you already have a MVP in the market and you have developed a familiarity among the market with your name. And MVP also provides a base for pushing on other products that are related to the solution. If you have some accessory services or accessory data or accessory hardware along with your solution, a MVP in the market will come soon, but more faster than the product, and hence the other products also can be pushed into the market faster. MVP also helps you to build an ability for re-engineering your MVP into a product, and filling in all the missing components that the consumer base wants from the product. And it will also help you to have a quick branding of the product. Product can be sold as a product can be sold as a brand. When it is sold as a brand, it has its own image in the eyes of the consumer. And what does the MVP consist of? The elements, key elements of MVP are there are five key elements. The first key element is related to function. Function means it has the minimal features, that is called the viable features, that deliver all the projected values to the user. The second component is the MVP design. MVP design refers to the minimal marketable feature. Minimal marketable feature means the way it is assembled, it has to be according to industrial standards of a product, not a prototype. And the third component is the reliability of the MVP, and that can be done by rigorously testing the MVP before launching the MVP into the market. And the fourth question is obviously the first which we started with, that's the usability. And usability in this context, now that MVP is designed, so we know most of the functionality in this usability. Only thing that remains is the consumer experience. It has to be user friendly. It has to be having components of user learnability, and it has to have a user engageability. So totally user friendly, and user should like your solution, and he should be content and satisfied with the solution. And the fifth most important point that very often gets missed out in a failed MVP is the feedback quotient. MVP should also provide a way that you are able to get a feedback from people whom you are selling to. So it allows you to have a capacity to allow what is the business viability of your product when it is launched. So many of the failed MVPs lack this component of feedback. So this is one big story of Sony. Sony has a concept change. Sony in 1979, it was run by the innovators Masaru Ibuka, Akio Morita, and Kozo Oshon. Different age groups. He was in 70 plus, 50 plus, and late 30s. And the creators of Sony innovation, the creators truly defied the presently at that time running stereotypes of innovation, and they did it by changing a concept into a reality. And their concept was something which we know as Walkman. So this was just a concept, and they converted it to reality by defying the current stereotypes of invention. And they did it by Sony branding. When they made a Walkman, they wanted to brand it immediately, and they came with a lot of names for branding, like Soundabout, Stowaway, Freestyle, but finally ended up with the brand name as Walkman. Walkman because it will walk with you, and you can listen to music while you're walking. And this is what it was advertised like. Sony Walkmans give you a carry around sound, and this was an entirely new product category, a very new, unique innovation, a new invention. And for the first time, people could listen to their personalized playlist, music of their choice, on a studio music with a portable device while doing their day-to-day work, especially while running around, walking around. And moreover, it ran on a AA batteries that allowed it to be unplugged and still running. Sony also changed the definition of MVP. The initial model of Sony was a rugged model. Rugged model means it is a little sturdy model, robust model, because MVPs are known to be easy to break kind of assemblies. So Sony launched the rugged model, and in the later years, after 10 years, they started putting on the non-rugged uh, stylish models of Walkman. When in the first year, the Sony company branded and launched the Walkman. So they had ambition to make 30,000 units at one stretch, and this was considered very ambitious for anything that is as new as a Walkman, as a portable stereo device. Nobody knew how the market would take it, so it was considered very ambitious. And in the first month, they only sold 33,000 pieces of this manufacture. So the Sony response team took the response immediately from this minimal viable product. A response was generated of 3,000 sales done in the first month, and immediately Sony put up a PlayStation on regular street. They came to know that the product has some inabilities until you use it first. So while you're not using it, you still know that you are not missing anything in life. So this is the inability of the portable model, and only thing you have to give the consumer an experience. So you could play a few tunes free of cost on the street. And this model also we have seen in CD Man. We have also seen this model in while propagation of MTV and many other music companies. In total, 1 July was the launched day and month on 1979, and the lifespan of this product was 31 years, and it ended on 25th October 2010 with the coming of a new product, Philips CD Player, CD Man Portable, and total 385 million units were sold for the Walkman. And the concept of MVP is actually recently defined, not from the time of Sony. Only in 2001 it was technically legalized terminology, and because of this change in the definition of the MVP, Sony led to another stream called as the minimal viable business model, which people are using now. They make a minimal viable, what minimal requirement for a business to provide the maximum output. So there are benefits and there are pitfalls. There are no cons of the MVP. Only pitfalls are there. Pitfalls means there are certain loopholes which, if you don't foresee, it can be disastrous. The benefits are that you can understand consumer need with the product even before the product is launched or made, and you can save a lot of effort for re-engineering. You can save a lot of time that is required for re-engineering and making a final product. You can also save a lot of money expenditure that is required for re-engineering to make a fully uh, planned or fully designed product. And the pitfalls occur when MVP is considered as the smallest viable part of a product, and the omitting or the learning part is missed out. You don't get a feedback to know what is the business viability. When this is not done, it could lead to a serious pitfall. MVP can also lead to a pitfall if MVP is minimized to such an extent that the viable part itself is excluded out uh, in the process of re-engineering. If the minimal in the viable part itself is underperforming, it could lead to a serious pitfall. Sometimes to develop quality, we can get into a direction of unidirectional thought and keep developing so that whatever we initially made the technology for, that itself goes missing to fit in the consumer needs. And third pitfall is most common pitfall is that if sometimes we fail to believe that the MVP is not viable, and if a non-viable MVP is not discarded, it can lead to serious business loss, and that's one pitfall. And that is why MVP is actually very beneficial, both by its benefits and both by its pitfalls.